January booklet. So today I am making a video about an article that I saw. It was talking about how healthcare leaders can keep their group, like keep their team during a great resignation. So we know right now that there is a phenomenon that is going on where people are just resigning. They're just leaving their jobs, and because people tired. And it's not just in the healthcare industry, it's just everywhere. Fast food, just it's just everywhere. And I think the biggest thing that happened, I think the main reason for that is the pandemic. And when the whole world was shut down, people had nothing to do but sit at home and you know reevaluate their life. That's basically what they did. And so, people decided to, it's better just stay at home because they realized that no job is safe. No industry is safe. And so, you had a lot of women who are not returning to work because of childcare issues, or, I liked it, they liked it better working from home or being at home and, living on one income. So the pandemic, it just, in my opinion, caused a lot of people to see that it caused a lot of people to reevaluate their life. Okay, like if you are a person who did not reevaluate your life, something's wrong with you. If you are the same coming out of this pandemic as you were going into it and during it, something's off. Okay, because a lot of people reevaluate their life and what they really want to do and what really makes them happy. Now, we know in the healthcare industry before the pandemic that there were some issues that go on in the hospital as far as labor. We were always short staffed. That's just how it is. I don't think I've ever heard of any hospital being fully staffed. It's just, I don't even think that's possible. So when the pandemic did come, healthcare workers did not lose their job for the most part. Now, there were some places that, because they didn't do elective surgery, because they were trying to preserve all the PPE, they didn't do electric surgery. So those people may have got laid off, like if you in the OR, things like that, they may have got laid off, or the staff was just moved to another facility. So like instead of if you normally work in the OR, and because they weren't doing any surgeries unless it was like emergency surgery, you may have been, moved to another department, to work. So you still had your job. So for the most part, healthcare workers were there. Now, because of the mandate, healthcare workers are being laid off because they won't take the vaccine. So I was reading this article, and it was talking about the Great Resignation, and then also, you have people leaving because they just burn out and they're tired. So it's you still short staffed, and then you burn out. The vaccine mandate, letting people go if they don't take it. So it's just a lot going on. So I was reading this article, and this guy, his name is Adam Marcotte, and he's the principal at FMG Leading, where he specializes in helping healthcare companies and services manage their human capital. So basically, just helping hospitals um, with staff. Okay, and he was talking about some of the pitfalls that leaders can fall into when they're attempting to retain their staff. So he said, I will say the Great Resignation is really a wake up call. Healthcare organizations just can't achieve their mission growth goals without their people. What we've seen working with our clients on the front line in healthcare, where you might be working an hourly wage or shift work, is that you can go anywhere and do, and they are. So if I'm a secretary in a hospital, I can go anywhere. I can go to another facility and be a secretary in a hospital. I can go to a doctor's office and be a secretary in a hospital. I, I don't have to just be there with you. Now, some people with this vaccine mandate, they swear to God that this is the only place, like wherever they at, this is the only hospital in the whole wide world that they can work. I'm a nurse. This is the only hospital in the whole wide world that I can work at. So they're, taking the vaccine mandate, or they're being torn, whether or not to take it. And then some people like, look, this is not the only place to work. So do you understand? But there are people who understand this is not the only place to work. I can take my skills anywhere. I'm a nurse. I can go anywhere. I don't have to work here. There are a lot of things that nurses can do. Same thing with secretaries. Secretaries don't have to work at a hospital. Now, if you're a medical secretary, you don't have to work in a hospital. You can work at a doctor's office. You can work at a clinic. You can work wherever. You can work. Or if you don't want to work in the hospital, in the medical field, you can go be a secretary somewhere else. Do you understand? So the article is talking about how people who work hourly wages, they can take their talents elsewhere, and that's what they're doing. So that's what this great resignation really is all about. You can take your talents anywhere. So he said it's very commonplace for executive leaders to immediately go for the financial solution. So that can be like retention bonuses or pay increase. So we did see, like I know with the vaccine, they were offering. Well, let me back up. During the pandemic, they had pandemic pay. So it was like a couple of dollars, they'll throw, for working during the pandemic, or retention bonuses to retain the nurses. Also know about how, like, during the pandemic, you had hospitals. I mean, I don't know how. It, we see this more here in Florida because we have season, like when the snowbirds are here. When the hospitals are packed and jumping, they'll pay the nurses more because they need more staff. I mean, some hospitals do it for all the staff. Some just do it for the nurses. Some do it for the CNAs. It just depends. But so like from December to like May, March, May, you'll get paid extra. So you might get paid an extra $10 if you work during that time. So you work your 3 days. If you pick up fourth day, you might get paid an extra $10 on that fourth day because that'll be your overtime. So now when you get your overtime and you get your pay, you're getting the extra $10 an hour. So and that's for some nurses because I know that's what my mama do and she be up in there, okay, getting that money because y'all know my mama's a nurse. So so they do all kinds of things to retain because if it's season here in the hospital, all the hospitals jumping and they full, I can go anywhere. I'm a nurse. I can go anywhere and get this money. So that's retention. So they're doing the same thing when people are leaving because they burn out or because of just whatever's going on. And so he's saying that that's what most hospitals, that's their first go-to, is either a retention bonus or a slight pay increase. And he's saying that that's not what they really should go for first. What they should go for is become a great place to work, and that's how you retain and recruit people to work for you. So before you go, just hospitals go throwing out this money, you need to become a great place to work. So and that's true. So like this one hospital here, I have never applied there because I applied different places. I never applied there because I was scared because I ain't heard nothing good. They had a nickname for it. The doctors didn't like the hospital, the staff, because I noticed that a lot of staff came from that hospital, like in ICU. That's how they all knew each other and knew all the drama. A lot of staff came from that hospital, and they would rather put up with the stuff at our hospital than to try to go anywhere else. Because though our hospital had whatever, they were better than the other hospitals. Do you understand? So I'm not saying it was a great place to work, but I'm not saying it's a bad place to work. But them other places, okay, even people who used to work there wouldn't go back. Now there were some people who did leave there. This is when we opened up the second hospital. They left that hospital, a whole bunch of people left that hospital, went to the new hospital, and then it was so slow and all that stuff, they went back to the hospital. So I don't know, but for the most part, the vibe I always got that it was not. Cause I even heard from doctors, and they, had nicknames, and it was just too much going on at the hospital. So, I'm not saying that the hospital where I was working was the best, but from what I understand, it wasn't the worst. Do you understand? So he's saying that hospitals need to become a great place to work. You need to be a great place to work. That way you can retain employees as well as recruit employees. Okay. So another thing that he talked about is the hospitals need to be a place where they nurture the staff. So you gotta have they need to have he used the word roadmap to let the people know that you can build your career here and develop you here, and grow your skills and grow leadership. Now, one of the things that I would have loved to have seen as far as with the secretaries. So when I first started, there was like literally when I first started, did orientation. So you go do the big orientation, everybody, and then like with everyone, you're right. And then you meet your director and all that good stuff, and then they separate you. So you go off, like the nurses. I know the nurses went to go get fitted for their N95 mask, and then the secretaries, we went over here. I was the only secretary that got hired, during that time. Housekeeping went over here, and blah, everybody went to their spot because you gotta go. So I was the only secretary, and at the time we had a lady who would train, like she would orientate the new secretaries. Okay, so I'm the only one in there. It's just me and her. Her name was Sarah, and she would orientate the new secretary. So like we get the handbook, and she would just like go over, this is the system. You use this system and this and that, and and she would give a quick overview of the system that we would be using. The system. Uh, she would do a quick overview, give us the handbook and things like that. And she worked under the lady who was like over the system, okay? Because there was a lady over like technology, whatever. She was IT somebody. And so, but then eventually she left because they had laid off some people when they opened up a new hospital because they ain't had no. But anyway, let me hush. so, so she got laid off, and some people came back, but she wasn't one of them. Okay, and so there was really nobody to train the secretaries. I don't know who trained the secretaries after she left. I don't know. I think the lady who was like over the IT, because she was over the system. I think she might have been the one training them. I don't know, but there was no secretary, like no. I don't want to say head secretary, but it was just nothing, right? So I personally would have liked to see, because matter of fact, she used to head our secretary meetings. We would have meetings every now and then. Okay, when I say every now and then, we might have had three, and it like from like the entire time I was there, we might have had. Well, let me phrase it. The entire time she was there, we had three, because I don't think they had any after she left. And it was like, they basically went over the same thing that the secretaries weren't doing, but we didn't have that. And I felt, because I don't think she was a secretary, I think she just knew the system, but then she was in charge of, she was in, I don't think she was a secretary. I never got that. I just knew she was in charge of the system. The lady was in charge of the system, then she was, and then she just took us on. But I personally felt that they should have had someone, they should have encouraged one of the secretaries, because there was a lot of us that had been there for a long time. They should have created something like a leadership position to train the new secretaries. Because once she left, it was nothing. And that was one of the things. So that's one of the things he's saying. Build on your career, and the hospitals need to have a roadmap to let the people build on their career there, as well as grow in leadership. I wouldn't have minded, because I didn't even think that was possible until we had this one dude. He was secretary, and he was crazy though. Like he had delusions. What they say, delusions of grandeur, because he's loud all the time. He was like one of those that made himself bigger than he was. Like, dude, you're a secretary, but he was lying, saying he was in nursing school and all this stuff, and that his boyfriend was a lawyer because he was gay, and his boyfriend was a lawyer. His boyfriend worked at the bar. like why is you lying? Just lying. Okay, they lies. Okay, and oh, one day when I tell that story, how that one lady found out, but he was like, he would go around tell everybody that he was the head secretary. It'd be like, we ain't got no head secretary, because he was new. He wasn't here that long. And but I was like, that would have been a great position, because after he said that, and then I thought about it. I was like, well, yeah, because we really don't have that. We don't have that anymore. So but yeah, hospitals need to learn how to develop. So basically, what he's saying in this article, how healthcare leaders can retain their staff, especially during this time, is to one, become a great place to work, and two, uh, let help the people build on their careers, and also grow their skills and leadership. I'm big on that. That's why you know whenever I get a new secretary, or even student secretaries, I want them to know stuff. Like, people half training people or not telling people everything they need to know to do their job. I think that's just like like you suspect. Like, you a hater. You a hater, because why would you do that? Why wouldn't you want someone to be great? Just like you. I would rather you be great just like me, because I'm not a hater. Okay, I'd rather you be great like me than for me to sit there and watch you struggle. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So this is just his solution to the Great Resignation in these hospitals, these hospital streets. And I think they're actually a great job. These hospitals do need to become a great place to work, as well as they need to work on helping the employees build their skills and grow their skills to be there for a long time. Because one thing I will say about the hospital is people that's been there for a long time. Because when I went to my 5 year, um, they do like every 5 years, they have a thing, like a party. Well, they do it every year, but it's for when you hit your every 5 year. And when I went to, look, I still got the thing. People been there 35 years. Like the mean, the mean lady that mean everybody. She mean everybody, but she like me. She been there like 40 years with her mean self, and she been there 40 years. A lot of people been there for a long time, like 30 years, 40 years. Like they been up in that hospital. They saw the new part of the hospital being built. Like, you been here since the 70s. Like, you been here longer than I've been alive. Like, they been there for a long time. You been here since the 80s. Like, doctors been there. The one doctor, golly, I forgot how long he had been there. And he was a surgeon. He was like the man. Okay, he was the man. But they did have that. But I think the reason why is because just because where the hospital was set, the hospital is in a neighborhood. It's off the highway, but it's in a neighborhood. If you understand what I mean. But yeah, like a lot of people had been there for a long time, but they had also worked at other places. So they might have worked, started there, and then might have took work part time at another hospital, because hey, get this money. But they always stayed at our hospital because it's a better hospital. Like I said, it ain't the best, but it's better than the other one, especially the next closest one to us. So, but yeah, these hospitals need to work on, and if they want to stem the Great Resignation among healthcare, because we already know it's stress anyway, they need to become a great place to work, and they need to they need to help their employees hone their skills to retain the employees. All right, so you can put a comment below if you have any questions. You can put them below. You can also follow me on my blog. It's Jamie Reed Booklist. That's where I talk about being a unit secretary. And I'll talk to you later.